Try solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. You twist and turn thinking you're closer. Then remove the blindfold and realize it's more scrambled than when you began. That's what happens when men use male logic to make sense of women. You're on the wrong operating system, like forcing iOS onto Android. What women tell you about what they want is rarely the actual program running in the background. It's not the fairy tale, it's the raw script that shapes how they act, test, and pull strings. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every past moment suddenly makes sense in ways you wish it didn't. The harsh reality is women don't process life like men do. Not because of some Venus and Mars nonsense, but because their wiring had a completely different purpose. Men were built to build, solve, and protect. Women evolved to survive through influence, through pulling resources, through control without muscle. That's not an insult. It's biology. And refusing to accept it is why men keep failing at a game they don't realize they're replaying. I've met countless men who gave everything to a woman and got left wondering why. That's exactly why. Because once she's conquered you, the puzzle is solved. The spark dies, and she moves on. Women stay where there's tension, not where the story is over. Think of those brain scans during fights. Men's problem-solving areas light up. We want to fix the issue. Women's emotional and memory centers flare like fireworks. They recall every time you forgot a call, missed a birthday, made them feel less. You're stuck in the present. She's living in every past slight at once. Her calculations run non-stop. How do I feel right now? What can I pull from this? Time, attention, status, resources. How does this change my standing against other women? And always, can I do better? That loop never ends. To men, loyalty means through thick and thin. To her, loyalty means you're still competing daily for her choice. The moment you stop, she calls it betrayal, even if you never left. There's that classic case. Woman leaves her husband because he's emotionally unavailable. Finds a new man who drowns her in attention. 6 months later, she leaves him too, says he's needy. The husband was steady, not cold. The boyfriend was attentive, not weak. But her brain doesn't measure in absolutes. She's addicted to the change. The feeling of gaining attention, not having it. She wants the chase to never end. Put women together and their patterns sync. Speech, cycles, even moods. But it's not about harmony. It's hierarchy. Compliments are power plays. Secrets become weapons. Girls' nights are strategy sessions. Every woman lives inside an invisible comparison web. She's not asking, am I happy? But am I happier than her? She doesn't want a good man. She wants a better man than other women have. Social media only supercharged this. She's not comparing you to her friend's boyfriend anymore. She's measuring you against the highlight reels of millions. Men lose their minds at the paradox. She says she wants commitment, then pulls away once you commit. She begs you to open up, then loses respect once you do. She says she wants your success, then resents the time it takes. It's not contradiction, it's design. Each demand is a test, not an instruction. Will you keep your frame or will you fold? When you fold, you fail, even though that's exactly what she asked. One man told me his girlfriend begged for his feelings. He finally opened up about depression after his father passed. Within weeks, she was gone. Later, she admitted she couldn't see him as strong anymore. She didn't want the pain. She wanted to know she could break through. Once the wall fell, he was no longer a fortress. This resource-checking system is ancient. Every test is her way of confirming if you still provide, if you still protect. But in today's world, where she doesn't need a man for food or shelter, the tests shifted. Now she extracts attention, validation, experiences, emotional labor. Same program, new resources. I've seen women's private chats. Most of it revolves around how to get more from men. The rest? Looks, competition, positioning. Almost nothing about growth or hobbies. It's extraction math, running on a Stone Age brain in a digital market. And notice how control works. She can't dominate with strength, so she uses guilt and fear. First, she implants guilt. You're not doing enough. You're not romantic enough. You're not present enough. Then fear, you might lose me. I might find someone better. Before long, every choice you make runs through her filter. Am I upsetting her? Will this make her leave? That's how you end up moving like a puppet on her strings. This programming begins at birth. Sons taught they must earn love through performance. Daughters told they deserve it just for being. Men grow up seeking approval. Women grow up holding it back. Experiments back it up. When women had control of resources, they shared less. When they didn't, they demanded more. Men shared when strong and supported when weak. Different systems entirely. Watch any long relationship play out. She starts sweet, affectionate, eager. He commits. She cuts affection, raises demands. He works harder. She loses respect. He panics. She leaves or cheats. And he's left thinking, but I did everything she asked. That's the trap. The instructions were a test. By following, he failed. Weakness destroys attraction instantly. Women sense it sharper than radar. A pause in your voice, an insecure text, the wrong choice of words, they pick up on it. Attraction drops before you even realize. Emotions for men are problems to solve. For women, they're tools to use. Tears can be tactics, anger can be strategy, sadness can be leverage. They aren't more emotional, they're more tactical with emotions. They talk equality, but only when it benefits them. Equal pay, yes. Equal accountability, no. Equal opportunities, yes. Equal responsibilities, no. It's optimization, not hypocrisy. Maximum benefit, minimum cost. Even careers feed the comparison loop. A woman working around wealthy clients sees their lives daily and comes home looking at you differently, not because you changed, but because her reference point did. Her conversations aren't about sharing info, they're about establishing rank, getting validation, building leverage. When she vents to friends about you, it's not advice she wants. It's allies. A script where she's the victim, you're the villain, and she deserves better. Every interaction runs through comparisons. Every man she meets, every woman you speak to, it's all calculations. And unlike men, her mind doesn't demand logical consistency. She can believe you're her soulmate and also think she could do better, both at once. Contradiction doesn't bother her. Truth for her is moment to moment. Even friendships differ. Men bond through shared experience and respect. Women's friendships are transactional, based on exchange. Once the balance tips, the bond ends. And under all of this is hypergamy, the constant pull toward the highest value she thinks she can reach. And that baseline never stops climbing. As soon as she sees a higher option, her mind recalculates. That's why men get blindsided after years together. You succeed, you level up, she recalibrates and suddenly sees you differently. To her, love isn't solid like concrete. It's fluid, like water. It takes the shape of the container, evaporates if not maintained, seeks its own level. Men fall and want forever. Women fall and immediately test if forever is real. That's why men cling long after love ends, and women can let go overnight. Her brain doesn't categorize love the same. It categorizes men. Alpha for genes, beta for resources, invisible for everyone else. Move between boxes and it's nearly impossible to go back. Start as alpha, slip into beta. You'll never recover her original desire. Women don't build relationships the way men think. They extract from them. Men build structures. Women test how much they can pull before it collapses. When it does, they move on and repeat. Even history shows the same cycle. Give women unchecked influence and standards drop. Accountability vanishes. Resources get consumed. Societies weaken and get conquered. Comfort over strength. Feelings over facts. It always ends the same. Look at today's dating landscape. No shame, no consequences, no restraint. The results are predictable. A small percent of men gets most of the attention. Average men vanish. Women would rather share a high-value man than commit to one they see as beneath them. They initiate most divorces, but in truth, they end all relationships. If they don't leave directly, they create enough misery until you do, and then they call themselves the victim. Even memory gets rewritten after. It was never their choice. always the man's fault. Validation drives it all. Every like, every text, every gesture adds or subtracts from her account. Drop below her line, and she'll manufacture drama to get a deposit. You offer solutions because you see problems as things to fix. She resists them because the problem isn't for fixing, it's for generating validation. To her, men are not partners but tools. Support, status, comfort, resources, validation. And when a better tool comes along, or when yours stops working, you're replaced. That's not evil, it's programming. Billions of years of survival strategy baked in. What you call loyalty or honor or principle, she doesn't. She stays until leaving looks better. She tells the truth only when it helps. She loves not who you are, but how you make her feel about herself. That's why true matriarchal societies never lasted. They collapsed under the weight of extraction over building. And the cruelest twist? Women despise men who figure this out. The illusion only works as long as men stay blind. Any woman who tells the truth about female nature becomes a threat to the system itself. But once you see it, you can't go back. You can't believe in fairy tales again. Every test, every manipulation, every word suddenly becomes visible. And at that point, you either learn to work with the operating system or walk away. You won't rewrite billions of years of coding. She runs her program, you run yours. The only question is whether they align. You've probably noticed how women never stop comparing. Every friend, every coworker, every stranger on Instagram is part of the scoreboard running in her mind. She is not just asking if you were good enough, she is asking if you were better than what she sees others getting. That's why social media is so dangerous for relationships. You're no longer competing with real men. You're competing with curated highlight reels that no man alive can fully match. It's not about her reality. It's about her perception. And that perception updates every single day. The contradiction drives men crazy. She says she wants commitment, but the second you give it, her interest fades. She begs you to be vulnerable, then loses attraction when you finally open up. She claims she wants success, but resents the time it takes to achieve it. To you, it looks like confusion. To her, it's instinct. Every demand is a test, not a manual. She doesn't want you to hand her everything she asks for. She wants to see if you strong enough not to. The second you fold, even though it's what she said she wanted, she can't respect you anymore. Think about how loyalty works in her world. For you, it's ride or die. For her, it's daily competition. You don't stay the prize just because you were once chosen. You stay the prize by constantly proving you buy and still the best option. The moment you relax, the moment you stop showing hunger, she feels abandoned. Your comfort reads as neglect. Your satisfaction feels like rejection. She wants to keep winning your attention forever, not feel like the game ended years ago. Even when women gather together, it's not the bonding most men imagine. Their cycles sync, their language mirrors, but underneath the harmony is hierarchy. Compliments are disguised power plays. Secrets are bargaining chips. Every girl's night is a quiet battle for position. And every story they trade about men is ammunition for that hierarchy. Here's something men never realize. When she complains, she's rarely looking for a solution. You hear a problem, your brain jumps to fix it. But to her, the complaint is the solution. It creates attention, it brings validation, it reaffirms her feelings. If you fix the problem too quickly, the validation stream dries up. That's why she resists solutions. You just cut off the fuel source. For her, the problem itself is a tool. This is the difference in operating systems. Men see emotions as obstacles. Women use emotions as weapons. Tears, anger, sadness, these aren't accidents. They're strategies, whether conscious or not. And men fall into the trap of treating them literally instead of tactically. You try to soothe, explain, or fix, not realizing the whole point was to test how you respond. The deeper truth is that she doesn't measure love the way you do. Your love is like concrete. It sets, it holds. Hers is like water. It shifts, it takes shape of the container. It evaporates if not maintained. That is why she can wake up one day and say she doesn't feel the same, while you're still in the same place you were years ago. To her, love isn't a permanent state. It's a continuous calculation. Her mind is always running the same program. Can I do better? It doesn't matter if you've been together for 6 months or 20 years. That background process never shuts off. And this is why so many men get blindsided. They think stability equals security. But in her eyes, stability feels like stagnation. The fire only stays alive if she feels like she's still winning you, not that she already owns you. Look at how she reacts when you're too available. At first, she might enjoy the attention, but quickly, predictability kills the excitement. When she knows exactly when you'll text, how you'll respond, what you'll say, it's over. You become comfort. You become background. She doesn't crave comfort. She craves the high of uncertainty. That gap between sending a message and waiting for your reply, that space where she imagines what you're doing, that's where desire grows. And here's the twist. It's not even about how much attention you give. It's about the feeling of earning it. That is why she'll leave a man who seems distant and then complain her new boyfriend is too much. The husband wasn't actually cold. He was steady. The new guy wasn't too needy. He was simply too available. But her brain doesn't calculate in absolutes, only in contrast. She doesn't want a set amount of affection. She wants the constant sensation of gaining ground. Even loyalty in her world means something different. For you, it's sticking through the hard times. For her, loyalty is you staying competitive, keeping her convinced you're still worth choosing every single day. The moment you let up, she doesn't see it as love. She sees it as neglect. When you relax, she calls it rejection. When you're satisfied, she feels abandoned. She needs proof that she's still the prize you're chasing, even after decades. This is why tests never stop. The arguments, the little dramas, the what-if questions, they're all part of her system checking your strength. She wants to know if you'll break under pressure, if you'll fold when she pushes, if you'll collapse when she pulls away. Men fail because they react literally. They try to fix, explain, defend. But the test was never about the words. It was about seeing if you can stand firm without crumbling. And that's the part most men never understand. She doesn't want to conquer you once and be done. She wants to feel like she's conquering you every day. The chase never ends in her mind. And the second it does, she starts looking for a new game to play. This is why a man who never bends too far becomes unforgettable. The one who doesn't chase when she pulls away. The one who doesn't explain himself when she tests. The one who doesn't throw away his priorities just to keep her happy. That man becomes the mountain she has to climb, the puzzle she can't solve, the fire she can't put out. And that feeling is stronger than any flowers, any compliments, any constant attention. Most men think being reliable makes them attractive, but too much reliability kills the story. If she knows exactly how it ends, there's no thrill left. Every good story needs tension, ups and downs, mystery. When you're always there, always easy, always available, you flatten the whole thing. She doesn't want to be chased forever. She wants to be chosen, but chosen by a man who has options, who has standards, who doesn't need her to feel whole. Your time has to matter. Your boundaries have to hold. Your world has to be full enough that she can add to it, but never become the center of it. When she cancels plans, silence speaks louder than begging. When she creates chaos, calmness proves more than arguments ever could. When she tests, strength passes in ways words never will. The truth is brutal but simple. The less you need her, the more she feels pulled to you. Not pretending, not acting, but really living like her approval isn't your oxygen. Women don't get addicted to men who hand themselves over freely. They get addicted to the men who value themselves so highly that access to them feels rare, feels earned, feels special. That's the real challenge. Not faking scarcity, not playing games, but building a life so strong, so complete, that letting her in feels like a privilege she never wants to lose.